News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
And I'm Alan Gilbreth at darkoakpress.com.
And I'm Maximilian, right today behind the ether, or in the ether.
Yeah, I don't know where Max is. I hope you guys can hear us. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989, or go to the go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and give us a like and check out all the action over there. Well, we're on the road again, Alan. Here we are. You never know where we're going to turn up next, man.
It's actually really nice here, though. I'm looking around going, this is, we're out in nature.
Yeah, we're out in nature, surrounded by animals and trees and everything. We're here at the Bartlett Animal Services, and I guess, Alan, this is their big annual rabies and vaccination extravaganza.
It is indeed.
Kind of interesting branding there. I don't know. But it's a big day, I guess. If you can, usually this thing is for the Bartlett residents, but here today it's open for everybody. And in a little bit we're going to talk about that. There's all sorts of discounted services. I see vendors are getting ready to set up. It looks like it's going to be kind of a party, but also a great place to. It's going to be microchipping, the whole vaccination, all that stuff for your animals. So
and we just got to watch the boss build a tent.
Yeah, and Ditch is running around here, doing his thing. So, but Alan, among other things, we're going to weigh in on Elon Musk. His new enterprise are these boxable houses, more or less. We've seen modular housing where you basically a truck shows up with a crane and they drop the structure into your backyard. Well, these are foldable. These make it, you can fold up and move these things later.
This reminds me of any number of cartoons.
Yeah.
Where somebody reaches in the hat, pulls out the box, and it starts unfolding and turns into a whole castle.
Right. So this is
close.
This is going to be
not
interesting.
Far off.
Yeah. We've got some more science. You're talking about the science of cutting, which is interesting. Max apparently has one of his deep cuts. That's going to be interesting. Home improvement idioms for idiots, he said. I don't know where that title came from. And we got a lot of other stuff. I'm not even going to bother to tease it because, as we've learned, Alan, callers may call in and dictate a change in direction.
Or better yet, they send us a text.
Or a text.
That way we can really get into it.
Yeah. So it's all coming at you today on Tool Talk Radio. But before we get to any of that.
And now, Tool Talk Radio's weekly salute.
Sometimes a barrier is a good thing. Here we go. Life on planet Earth couldn't exist without the protective, transparent barrier of our atmosphere. If the jerks at Yankee Stadium's bleachers keep throwing full cans of beer at the opposing team's players, Major League Baseball may decide to put up protective glass barriers in the outfield to teach them a lesson. They're getting out of hand over there, Alan.
Wow.
When Max, the producer, feels the impulse to scream out in frustrated rage, which for some reason mostly strikes between the hours of 8 and 10 every Saturday morning, he is grateful for the protective barrier of his soundproof production booth.
You also mentioned the hour between noon to 1.
Yeah, I left that one out, Alan. Very coincidental. And, of course, there was a noteworthy occasion when Alan Gilbreth attempted to break the barrier between real science and science fantasy by exposing a daddy longlegs to radioactive waves, then allowing the arachnid to bite him in an attempt to replicate the circumstances that created Spider-Man. In order to use those abilities to monopolize the highly lucrative skyscraper window washing market. You always are thinking outside the box, Alan. Unfortunately, however, the experiment was an epic failure, and after having invested a small fortune on 5,000 gallons of window cleaning solvent, 24 carbon fiber reinforced squeegees, and a waterproof superhero uniform, Alan was disgusted to find that the only notable side effects from the spider bite seemed to be increased knitting skills, a greater penchant for sitting alone in the pitch dark, and an irrational fear of cats. It just doesn't always play out the way you want, Alan.
Yeah, but that's okay. You know, I found a black market for all of that microfiber.
Okay, good. Anyway, yes, barriers are certainly important in this world, and they are equally important for our homes. So today we celebrate a humble item which provides us with security and privacy, as well as clearly establishing an outdoor space we can call our own. My friends, we give you the fence. Is it the fence or fencing or whatever? It's a
That
fence,
would be
Alan.
the fence, not a fence. There you
The
go.
beauty of this, you don't have to do research here, Alan, and I don't even know how deep we have to dive into it. But I wanted to salute the fence because what do they say? Good fences make good neighbors.
On occasion.
I
Yeah.
think there's something to that. There's an interesting dynamic when you're in a yard with a fence versus being in a. And I'm also we're thinking of the backyard, but being in a property where there's a fence, there's a big difference between having a fence and not having a fence.
Well, a lot also depends on kids and pets.
Yeah. Oh,
If
absolutely.
you've got a cat, really don't care if you have a fence. It's something to walk on. If you have a dog, yeah, more or less the dog's going to stay inside the fenced area. You hope.
I was wondering, Alan. I was thinking, because I always like to make a bigger production out of this stuff than we have to. But I have to think chain link fencing. I didn't really even find out when that was invented. But I feel like fencing became a bigger thing once we started having suburbs, right? I mean, because after World War II, once all these suburbs just started exploding everywhere and everything, suddenly it's like, okay, we're a little too close for comfort here. Let's start
Well,
building fences and making them more efficiently, basically.
Well, it depends on which direction you want to go when we talk about fence.
Yeah.
You get into the entire history of barbed wire at that point.
Right.
With barbed wire, you're looking at how to effectively fence very large areas. Now, if you get back to Victorian England, everybody had plenty of fences.
Okay.
There were lots and lots of ways of controlling who and what and where.
I had a feeling it was going to go back to the Victorians. What was that all about? Was that about keeping the classes in their own lane, basically, or?
Well, all right. You got to keep in mind, gardening and keeping animals
Right.
drastically changed since World War One.
Yeah.
After World War One, especially after World War Two, we became suburb people, and we had the rise of the grocery store.
Right.
Before that, pretty much everybody had some kind of garden. And I'll pick on the current movies with Peter Rabbit, where people would fence things off to keep the deer, the rabbits, and the neighbors out of it because you're trying to grow a garden so you could eat.
Yeah, that was a survival situation. Yeah.
And you didn't want your geese wandering off and becoming somebody else's geese.
Right.
You wanted to eat that goose at Christmas, not your neighbor.
Exactly.
So a lot of this was more about keeping things where you put them than so much ownership. And, like we think of the fence now as part of the landscape and how the fence looks. Now, when you get to chain link fence, that's also called cyclone fencing.
Cyclone fencing.
Yes, because, being from South Houston, you didn't worry a whole lot about hurricanes up there in Chicago.
Yeah, that's true.
You haven't lived, you've had a 110 mile an hour wind rip through your neighborhood.
Yeah, and that would, if you're going a 6-foot wooden picket fence
Yeah.
against a hurricane, we
No,
know who's
that
gonna
doesn't
win
last
that one.
long. That
Yeah.
doesn't last long. But the hurricane fencing, of course, allowed the air to flow through it, so there's a pretty good chance the fence would stay up.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting to examine the different cultural dynamics that go into why you would want a fence or why you wouldn't want a fence or something.
Generally, the fence falls into two categories, and you got to think about the fence, the production, and the overall aesthetic of it. Are you keeping things in, or are you keeping things out?
Yeah.
Well, because you get back to the Great Wall of China.
I
Are
was
you
thinking of
keeping
that,
things
yeah.
in, or are you keeping things out? As a matter of fact, there is a fence in Australia designed to keep the rabbits out of half of Australia.
Oh gosh, because they had a plague of rabbits.
The
down
entire
there.
half of the country is
Right.
separated by a fence.
Yeah.
So it's so simple. It's such an easy little idea, but it can be so dramatic.
Yeah, and I think there's a real psychology, not to beat it into the ground, Alan, but there's a real psychology to a fence in terms of the message that you're sending to the outside world. Because
Yeah.
if you live in the suburbs and you've put up the spike-topped metal wrought iron fence, in a neighborhood where there's a bunch of kids playing. I think you're in your front yard. You're sending a message of how you feel about your neighbors versus.
There was your house with all the Barbie dolls hanging off of it. So.
But it is interesting, and I feel like the fence is definitely worthy of a salute. So,
it is absolutely, because today it is how we define basically our territory.
Yeah.
We can have cute little fences. We can even have immortalized with Norman Rockwell is the cute little white picket fence.
Sure.
That was really a big American selling point for a very long time.
You know what the dramatic irony of that is? Because they talk about the white picket fence and how charming it is. Well, when you're a kid, I mean, I know you probably did this. When I was a kid, we climbed over the white picket fence, and that hurts when you slip. It is not the most. It's very deceiving. It may be charming, but it's one of the worst fences to fall on.
All right. The trick there is, Joe, is don't slip.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Or don't break the fence board. So anyway, all right, Alan. So hats off to the fence. I don't know who invented it. It probably goes back to Cain and Abel, honestly.
Archaeologically speaking, stone walls, stone fences,
sure,
go back about as early as civilization goes. It's how we keep up with where people were living.
Absolutely. So, all right, Alan. In a minute, we're going to shift gears. We want to kind of tell people about this event because we want people to show up here and see us. Before we do that, we want to tell people about Brown Refrigeration because let's face it, Larry Brown Refrigeration is sort of the bedrock of Tool Talk Radio. If you want to just get right down to it, we've known them forever. They're just one of these rock solid. It's easy to take Brown Refrigeration for granted because they've been here forever and they're so dependable and they're so reliable, but you shouldn't do that because, I mean, when it comes time to get, where you need an HVAC system or a clean air system or a smart home system, boy, it's nice to have somebody that reliable and that competent.
Well, the biggest thing is your air conditioning is that cornerstone piece of equipment in your home that makes it livable.
Yeah, and we would like to shift. We would like to introduce a shift in thinking because a lot of times we talk about replacing your HVAC system or getting a tune-up or something. I really think you should think of it as like you think of your vehicle. It's a maintenance thing. You want to have a relationship with your HVAC technicians and your HVAC company because you're going to probably want to visit with them at least once a year or so because just to stay on top of it and keep it running at peak form.
Well, yeah, you don't wait till the car fails to go get the oil changed.
Right. And when
definitely want to have something this important checked out, maintained, and if you do have a problem coming, at least know it's coming in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So get in touch with the good people at Brown Refrigeration, and as we mentioned too, they the clean air systems, the Remy Halo system is just, I mean, that's life changing. You talk about, especially today, Alan. I'm sitting here looking at the pollen, and I'm looking at the things we're probably breathing in, and the clean air systems with the Remy Halo, it filters the air out and it introduces cleaning particulates into your home so you're breathing in the cleanest possible air.
Absolutely.
It's outstanding. So get in touch with the good people at Brown Refrigeration. You can call them directly at 901-362-1881 or go to brownref.com. All right, Alan. Well, so we've got Ditch here. I don't know. He's running around. At some point we might be able to get him to jump on the air with us. But Alan, we're here at the Bartlett Animal Services. It's very quiet now. I have a sense, except for the dogs who started barking the minute you walked up. I noticed.
They
were
can't
quiet.
help it if it's a full moon. It's not my fault, really.
Okay, so rabies and vaccination extravaganza. From what I'm seeing here, they're setting up vendors. It's a real. It's kind of peaceful back here. Although to get here, it's really tucked away.
Yeah,
definitely use your GPS.
Definitely use your GPS if you're coming out. What an interesting little sheltered drive getting back here. However, this event is very, very important because if you're going to have a pet, rabies, while we don't really think of that much as a disease anymore, because thank goodness we have vaccination programs,
right?
This is a horrible, terrible thing to let any animal, and heavens forbid, a human being have to deal with.
Especially when it's so preventable.
Yes.
I mean, it's not. We're not talking about thousands of dollars here. We're
Right.
talking. So I mean, I'm sitting here looking at the price list, Alan. So break it down because this looks really affordable. This looks like pocket change to get this.
All righty. If you have an altered, aka fixed critter, of your vaccine is going to be $16.
Jeez.
If you have an unaltered, in other words, a breedable animal, $26. Your cat is going to be $10. And here's the biggie I'm just excited about. You can even get your cat or dog microchipped for $20.
So what is that? I mean, I think we all know what it means, but what is it? So it's a little microchip they stick like in the back of their.
All right, you and I have all done this. We've all accidentally stepped on one of those RFID tags at the store and walked through the door, and it's gone beep, 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 beep.
Have we?
Well, I have. And
You're talking about the little sticky thing that,
right,
that
the little
makes
sticky
the alarm
thing
go
that
off.
makes
Where
the
did
alarm
that happen?
go off.
You have those things laying around
There's
your house
Ditch.
or what?
No, it was actually at a big box store. I stepped on one in
Is
the
it as bad as stepping
walkway.
on a Lego?
No, because until you try to go through the door, and then try to figure out why you're beeping.
Oh, okay.
What the little
There's
RF,
our buddy Ditch weighing in. Good
Yeah,
to see
yeah.
you, Ditch.
Hello.
Hey, man.
RFID tags are inert little tags that respond to energy. So when you walk through a scanner, it activates and says, "Hi, I'm here," and it can hold a small amount of information. In the case of a microchip for an animal, it would have like your name, address, and phone number.
Sounds
so-
like a QR code. Like when you-
Basically, it's an embedded QR code, isn't it?
Yeah,
Alan?
it's
I mean,
basically
all the information that's on the tag is
Yes.
on that microchip.
yes.
so in
They
other words,
program
like
the chip.
you don't have
put
to
it
have a
in.
collar necessarily. You can just scan. Is that
That's-
right?
yeah,
Like
exactly.
they say?
Exactly right.
Well, the idea is that collars come off, animals slip them all the time.
Yeah.
But the tag, now if somebody finds your animal and it goes to one of the shelters, they now have an RFID tag scanner, and they can scan your animal, and boop,
And
your
it's-
information will pop up, and you'll get little Fluffy back.
And basically, it's a national database. They say that most police precincts, they don't necessarily share all the information with each other. The thing about the microchipping is you could go to any vet in the country. And they will say, "Hey, would you put this under your scanner?" It's not like a scanner you go to at Kroger, but it's similar. It can read it similar, like with a little gun, and it just basically tells you the phone number and all the information.
Ditch, you know what it's reminding me of? Because Ditch, host of Motor Mouths, which is coming up at 11 o'clock. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of how you and Bud are always talking about keeping records of like repair records for a car. So the history of a car. It seems like with one of these chips, it would record all the information. So you basically know how old the animal is, when it's had its shots, what issues it might have
You
had.
just gave me a great idea. We need to create a chip for there probably is one for a car that just keeps all that information, so that you don't actually have to
like a flash drive for your car.
Yeah,
No, it's-
Bud talks about keeping a little folder with all the receipts of new tires, oil
Right.
changes, all that. This would be great for that. The other thing about microchipping, some people don't understand. It's not a GPS tracker device.
See, I thought it was, but
Well,
Ditch,
people will tell you. You hear the word microchip, you're like, oh yeah, you can track them. No, doesn't work that way.
Well, how do you get it? Do you got to get a tracking collar or something?
Yeah,
Or-
they sell the little devices you can put on their collars that is GPS tracking.
I think I'd get one of those, man. Especially if you've got a dog that likes to run off.
Well, if
or
you have a dog
cat.
that likes to take their collar off, though, that's
Yeah.
Well, I would say this is one of these instances where you need both.
Yeah.
If you have, especially if you go and enjoy outdoor activities and you're going to take the dog with you, of having something where, and there is even an app for your phone for these collars that will kind of like let you track your friends and or track your pets or even track your children.
Oh, yeah.
They,
Well, I
they
mean,
can have the little, basically it's like a key fob.
your spouse.
Depending
Unbeknownst
upon,
to-
well, like if you go to some of these large events, these large outdoor events,
That big concert
big
festivals, or something.
concerts, conventions,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
It is important to be able to find somebody sometimes
oh, yeah.
of, just kind of pointing out it's not a bad thing. Of the joke I love to make is there's an app for that, but there really is. And in this particular instance, let's say for the sake of argument, you're all going to go to the lake this weekend. You're going to take the dog with you. The dog normally stays with you, but this time he sees something or she sees something
Yeah.
interesting, that weird black and white squirrel they've never seen before, and off they go chasing it.
Oh, yeah.
And now they get lost. In this particular case, somebody finds them. They can take them to any vet or to any animal shelter, scan it. Your data will pop up on the scanner,
Everyone's
and you
happy,
can get your dog back.
Yeah, and one more real quick point. This is today here at Bartlett Animal Shelter. It's open to any Mid-South resident.
Yes.
Typically, this shelter is for the residents of Bartlett, but today it's open to anybody. So if you're listening in Germantown or Fraser or Memphis, and you want to get a discount on rabies and vaccination here today at Bartlett Animal Shelter.
Real quick, the address 5220 Shelter Run Lane, and you're gonna think you're going to the wrong. It's kind of tucked away. You go behind a bunch of fencing through a neighborhood.
It's tucked back in the woods.
Definitely use your GPS to get here. But 5220 Shelter Run Lane here in Bartlett, and it's a lot of fun. And we hope you'll come and say hello to us. We're set out right in front. You can't miss us. All right, you're listening to Tool Talk Radio here at News Talk 98.9 The Roar, Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about Elon Musk's new foldable, boxable houses. That's a mouthful.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
How tough am I? How tough am I? I had a bowl of nails for breakfast this morning.
News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis.
Well, you get your iron, Alan. I'll give you that.
You do indeed.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. Although I should say the mobile setup,
Unit,
the Brown
Command
Refrigeration
Center.
Mobile Command Center. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer. I gotta say it slower, Alan. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer Carpentry and Wood Turning because I've been told I say it too fast. Here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from Dark Oak Media and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And when he deigns to drop in, we got our buddy Ditch here. He's running around doing his thing. Ditch from Memphis Morning News and Motormouth Radio. Because Ditch is sort of a veteran. He's been to this event here before, Alan. We're over here at the Bartlett Animal Services for their rabies and vaccination extravaganza. And folks, if you've got a pet that needs vaccination, or if they need their microchips or anything, I mean, you cannot beat the prices. It's next to nothing here. And they're opening it up to anybody in the Mid-South. So instead of it just being for Bartlett residents, it's open to everyone. So get over here. It's 5220 Shelter Run Lane in Bartlett. It's about a mile behind the Bartlett Water Tower, and you're definitely going to want to use the GPS because I'm telling you, you are not going to find it. So, I was coming in here, Alan, and I thought I was in the back roads of I don't know what.
It's
it's
absolutely
very pretty back here.
Very lovely destination. It's worth the drive.
Yeah, and the dogs finally calmed down. Alan had them riled up earlier, so they're all happy and content, and the weather's holding out. It's actually really nice out here, so perfect day to get out here and check it out. But Alan, let's talk a little science, my friend.
Hail science!
So, Alan, I guess this is science. Why not? It involves Elon Musk. So anything with Elon Musk, we're just going to call it science.
It
Any
involves a lot
excuse
of
to play the
money.
science music.
Yeah. Well, Elon Musk is up to it again, and this is pretty interesting. And folks, if you want to do if you want to go down an interesting rabbit hole, look at some of the modular houses that are out there. And what we mean by that is basically instead of having a bunch of contractors out there constructing something, they're basically showing up with the crane and they're dropping a pre-made unit right in your yard. And this one. It's called the Boxable Home, and what's different about this one is it's basically, they come in different sizes, but it's more or less like a portable studio apartment. It's got a kitchen, a bathroom, a bedroom area, and sort of a living room area. And this thing collapses where you can fold it. They wheel it up, you put it down on the slab, and you unfold it. It takes like an hour. You can do it with like two people. And you're ready to go. You plug it in and you're done, Alan. I mean,
wow,
this is cool. Yeah. And we thought it would open up a bigger discussion about the future of housing and maybe how we're going to even start constructing our homes with maybe more of a modular mindset.
Well, so much has been used in the past.
Right.
I'm starting with, basically we started out with any shelter was good shelter. And next thing you know, we're kind of putting up walls, and my next mind is like thatched roofing and stuff like that, where, there was a lot of material involved.
Yeah.
And generally, fast forward to a bunch of movies, and now you get to an old-fashioned barn raising, where you got, your 20 neighbors all show up, and there's a whole lot of cutting and nailing and fitting together, and you raise the thing up, and enough people and enough material, you can get it done pretty quick. And then we get into our modern world, and the modern world is concerned more with power, electricity, water, plumbing, connections, fitting
like having
into the
those
urban
things.
environment.
Yeah.
And right now, of course, there's kind of a thing going on about tiny homes,
Yeah.
where people are looking at their house going, all right, do we want to live in the house, or is the house kind of the base of operations?
Right, because now, I mean, what I'm thinking, Alan, is for example, one thing that's very, very popular is I guess they call it the mother-in-law wing. Maybe you have a parent that doesn't,
Right.
Maybe they're a widow or something, and they're health-wise they're okay, but they're at that age where they don't need to be cutting the grass and having all the
Right.
maintenance that goes into a home. So you set up something in the back of your property. It might be a separate dwelling, and it's perfect for the mother-in-law, or it's perfect for that kid that's in college and they're not quite ready to leave, but they need their own space. Or it's your home office, or it's an Airbnb. It could be any number of things. It could be there's a lot of benefit to having a separate dwelling, or at least a space you can call your own.
Well, we've been dancing around modular type building for at least 50 years now.
Oh yeah.
Because we got into, right after World War II, we got into a lot of subdivisions that we like to call cookie cutter homes.
Right.
And this is where a lot of the materials were already pre-manufactured. They were shipped to the site already assembled, and that sped up the process of getting something built.
Is that what those Sears pre-made homes were?
Well-
Because now that you're making me think of it, I've always heard of those, but I didn't know how they were actually made. So.
Well, you're
Like a
exactly
kit.
on the money. They would actually, in the largest possible piece that was shippable, they would send you a house.
Nice. Okay.
So, but it was all pre-designed, and we're going to pick on one of our favorite toy companies in the whole world.
I know who it's going to be.
Yeah, we're going to say the word Lego.
Oh yeah.
Because what an amazing idea of kind of standardizing how you're going to put something together. Now, it has been a staple of anime, sci-fi, and all kinds of funny cartoons that somebody takes a house out of their pocket and unfolds it, and voila, there it is.
Inspector Gadget or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and of course, you and I were just talking about this, and of course, we're sitting out here in the middle of the parking lot watching everybody get set up, and I was giggling because I was watching the technology that we're talking about being used.
Yeah, they're using pop-up tents, and this boxable home that Elon Musk is working on. For one thing, these factories are super interesting. You can, I'm tempted to get one, honestly. So what I saw, Alan, they had a 20 by 20, for example, and it folds up. When they fold it and they're wheeling it up, this could honestly, you could tow it with on the back of your pickup truck.
Right.
You could take this across country and move it somewhere else. And so they show up. At its widest point, it's about 8 feet when it's all folded up.
Right.
About 20 something feet long and about 8 or 10 feet high. So this is very mobile, and they get out and it unfolds kind of like a pop-up tent. And I guess what I love about it is the price. It was like $50,000, and this came with appliances. It came with it came with plumbing. It came with everything. Basically, you need a slab with a drain and some electricity, and you're ready to go, man.
Well,
So
all right, so let's take this out one more step further, and I'm gonna deign to bring in the words natural disasters.
oh yeah, exactly.
So you just had a tornado, you just had a fire, a flood, an earthquake, whatever. Now think about how fast could you get your relief workers someplace to sleep, bathe, and relax while in between shifts.
Right. Oh yeah.
Now it's not just, what do they say, a hot and a cot. Now you could actually roll in, and in less than 2 to 3 hours, have a functioning home or / command center
And when it's time
Almost
to move
instantly.
it, you pack it up and you fold it up and you move it somewhere else. It's
What was the old TV series MASH, a mobile air serviced hospital? Now we're really taking that to the extreme because we've got better manufacturing, we've got better electronics, and the interesting thing is we have. And you and I were just talking about this, the different materials in construction.
yeah.
Because it doesn't have to be a foot thick wall full of 2x4s and insulation and sheetrock. There are a lot of other materials that could go into making this home.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Alan, because the outside of the home, it's sort of a paintable metal. I think I want to say it's it's probably an aluminum, you know, on the outside, but it looks not. It doesn't look like it's not the cheesy siding. Or
it
anything.
doesn't look like a soda can.
It's very sleek and it's got a lot of personality. It looks cool. You can still paint the walls. You can still customize it to your taste and everything, and decorate it any way you want. But the materials, there's such a little amount of waste the way they do it. They use a lot of CNC work, which we're going to talk about in a bit. They use a lot of materials and a lot of building techniques that really cut down on the waste, because we've all seen it. We've seen construction sites, where or even sometimes, Alan, when I'm building a deck or whatever, you get to the end and you've got this big pile of scrap, and it's like, well, that's just sort of the way it goes. But they're getting less and less of that with these new construction techniques, which I think is great.
I'm looking at this pop-up tent directly in front of us, and I'm sitting here thinking 90% of the effort in that tent was just in designing how it actually popped up.
Yeah, it's the construction. Did you want to say something, Max?
I actually wanted to let you all know that we got a message on the text line, a query actually.
Okay, talk to me.
It's Alex. He says, what keeps those new homes stable under high winds?
Oh, okay, Alex. Well, these things. So I guess he's talking about what we're talking, the boxable homes. Well, those. Honestly, I think for one thing, the structure that, like I said, there's the metal siding is not just siding, it's also reinforced, it's adding strength, right. And it still attaches to the foundation, like it doesn't just sit there and drift around, so it still requires being attached. And I know with those shipping containers, those are attached too, and then plus the mass of those things, like they're more or less constructed like a walnut, I think, where they're well, as far as I can tell, they're designed with that in mind, of being resilient, basically. So,
well, the other thing that begs the question is, because it's a portable house, you could also have different types of fittings based on where you're going to be putting it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You could honestly pull up, park, and honestly lock your home down with the appropriate locking mechanisms.
Yeah. Hey, and by the way, Alex, thanks for the text message. But also, I don't know that we're talking necessarily about, we're not replacing houses. We're not necessarily saying that the house of the future is just going to be folded this way. However, I think what we're more talking about is the modular nature. There's some people that, because of their life situation or maybe just the way they want to live, they may want a house they could take with them. It's just sort of a new concept. Instead of, well, I'm moving to Omaha, I have to just leave this house behind that I love. Well, you can just find a piece of land and then go bring it with you, or you just find a little slab behind somebody's property or whatever. But it's just a different way of thinking about.
Well, and
living.
also, we have a lot of campgrounds and that type of stuff. We also have quote unquote trailer parks. There's a really nice one right down the street from the center of town at the Agri Center, where a lot of people participating in the shows bring mobile homes.
Right.
It wouldn't be difficult to imagine a neighborhood being laid out for specifically a more modular house.
Yeah.
Where you would just come up and, let's say you're gonna be here on a work assignment for a couple of years. Well, you might just bring your portable house with you.
Right.
Rent your pad for a couple of years, pop that baby in, and there you are.
You just made me think something. Yeah, that's a good point. So maybe there's going to be two businesses simultaneously. You know how they have these charging stations for Well, maybe what there would be these communities, and the slabs are pre-made,
Yes.
and then you begin constructing the home. So you have the Elon Musk mobile home community or
Right.
something, for lack of a better term, and it's basically, like you say, it's designed for people that are going to be there temporarily but sort of semi-long term.
Right.
And I could see that happening, especially if it was well maintained. Maybe it's in a real scenic. I don't know, man. It's going to look a lot.
There's a
different.
lot of possibilities.
Yeah, very cool, man. So we're going to be keeping our eye on this, and I mean, it's just interesting to think about what that does in terms of lifestyle, and just in terms of I mean, and honestly, saving money too. I mean, these things are affordable. These
Well-
are things you can buy and own outright. You don't have a mortgage. I love
Well,
that.
how would you like to know that the river is had a problem, the dam is cracked, and you've got about a week's warning before the area floods?
Right. Oh, there
Fold
you
the
go.
house up and get out of town. I'm seriously. I'm just kind
I
of like,
didn't think of
for
that. That's a
for
good point.
for more aggressive areas. There's
Sure.
a lot of we see this in the news constantly. We want to live beautiful places.
Yeah.
The problem with beautiful places is a lot of beautiful places are very aggressive.
Sure.
Of
If you like San Diego, there's earthquakes.
earthquakes. Of the biggest things I'm thinking like is fire, flood, that type of thing. Where especially if you know it's coming, something happens. What's to say you couldn't get your 2,000, 2,500 square foot modular home folded up on the trailer and just get out,
Right.
and
Or just
come
collapse
back.
it and cover it up. Whatever.
wrap it up so that you're not part of the problem.
Yeah.
And when you come back 2 or 3 weeks later,
Yeah.
the solution is just unfold the house and move right back in.
Yeah, Alan, it's funny because the more I think about it, the more I realize the geeks really are taking over the world, because we think of Transformers. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
fold a robot into a truck or a car, and now we've got houses folding up and whatever. So
I'm very excited about this idea.
pretty cool. So that's definitely a story we're going to follow, and like we say, the home of the future and just the way we live is going to get even more modular. I think it's interesting. So, well, you know who else is interesting, Alan? I don't know that he's going to. I don't know how modular the work he is. That he does, but our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. Now that would be a trick. Could you get a removable roof, a modular roofing system? I don't know that. I don't see the benefit of that. I think he's still dealing with fixed variables there. So don't roll your eyes.
I would not put it past Jay to look at this and say, we can do that.
Anyway, but Jay Hill, okay, if you do have any roofing issues, if you've got roof damage, and especially with all the rain and everything we've had and the high winds, you might have some roofing issues that are actually covered by your homeowner's insurance. And that's one of the cool things with Jay. They, in addition to being a Master Elite GAF installer and 5-star accredited with the Better Business Bureau and Good Housekeeping, they install roofing systems. They can handle every part of your roof, but also Jay is sort of got a special skill set in the sense that he was a former insurance agent, which is really important, even more these days, Alan, because regulations change constantly, and you need somebody that knows all the protocols, because if you have a roof replacement or roof repairs that are covered by your homeowner's insurance, you talk about a huge load off your shoulders and a huge savings too. I mean, and you and I and Brandon Olmstead have all had our roofs replaced with Jay Hill.
My favorite memory of the entire experience is watching Jay and his crew sit around and talk and discuss my roof in insurance terms with the insurance people. Because it was a whole language all its own.
Yeah, every now and again you hear the word that you recognize.
Yeah,
and the others you're like, okay, form such and such.
Formed this, did that. It was a whole experience just sitting there listening to it, going, and this is why you get a professional.
Yeah, and it's, what do they say about if you're going into court to represent yourself, you have a fool for a client, or something like that. So when you have a situation with your roof and it might involve working with your homeowner's insurance, you need an advocate. And
Yes,
really,
you do.
if Jay should be the first one you call. He's a highly qualified, and it's just fun working with Jay anyway. He's just an interesting person, to say the least.
That's one way of phrasing it, Joe. One way of phrasing it.
So get in touch with Jay. And, of course, he's big into in his remodeling work. he may start heading this direction of modular setup. Alan, you never know, because one of the things he said with his remodeling is how much people's lifestyle is changing, in the sense of they may be converting their garage into a home office because they're working from home now, or they're changing the way their home is laid out. And Jay Hill with their remodeling handles all that. So get in touch with Jay. You can call him directly at 901-484-5645 or go to BigMRoofingandRemodeling.com. Alan, I kind of want to circle back though on this home, on how we're talking about Elon Musk's portable. I guess we're talking about portable home.
Right.
In fairness, we shouldn't just drop his name. I mean, he's like the face of this Boxable company, but this, like you said, is not a new idea. These are, I think he does it with more flair, and when he does it though, he's for real about it. I mean, they're already built. They've already got the factories. They're already doing this. So
he does it bigger than anybody else.
He does it bigger and a little bit different. The foldable nature of it, to me, is what changes it, because we've had these shipping container houses, which still is a big. It's a bit. You're not going to just move that. I mean, I suppose you could, but moving that would be something. But I feel like it. We've talked about this off the air, where it really is going to change the way maybe you build a house. Like you say, maybe you build a house and maybe you build a 3,000 square foot home, and then on the back of it is an extra concrete slab where you can just drop in that modular home that's going to come and go as
it was a lovely patio while you needed it to be a patio, but it's time to put the module up and let XYZ live there.
Yeah. It's very cool, man. So and I just wonder, because kids today, I hate to just say that term, kids today, but they do have a different mindset. I know there's some let's just say younger generation. They're not as into owning things. Some of them don't own cars. Some of them, they'll have an app and they pick up, they just ride those scooters around town, and then they leave it at a curb and go do their thing. So I wonder how this could play into it,
Well, as every generation, the generations before us, the generations after us, we all have the same statement. It's not like it used to be.
Yeah.
And I've got to tell you, we live in truly amazing and blessed times.
Yeah.
Because compared to 40 years ago, we live in science fiction.
We do. The lines are blurred every day.
I always felt sorry for the poor developers at Star Trek, because they had to constantly keep coming up with technology that didn't exist, because the minute they made it up, somebody made it real.
Well, I wonder if they can sue. Could the Gene Roddenberry estate sue to get a portion of the iPad or something like that?
No, they just keep making movies and they just keep having a good time.
I don't know, man. Picard was using an iPad in 1987.
Yeah.
So mean, anyway,
who knew?
Hey, Alan, we got a nice message on Tool Talk Radio's Facebook page from. I'll just say, I don't know if he wants me to give his last name, but Brandon sent us a picture. It's a modular. It looks to me like a tiny house. It's on wheels.
Yes,
looks really cool. He said, I just bought this and it's currently on my 18 acres on Walnut Grove. There you go, Alan. This is exactly what we're talking about.
Yep.
Very cool, man. Send us your pictures at Tool Talk Radio's Facebook page. We'd love to see them, and we'd love to get your thoughts on maybe the new dynamic in modular homes and your feelings about them.
Yeah, would you or wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'm tempted, man. I think I like the notion of just owning something outright and taking it with me.
There you go.
Anyway, well, you know what else you can take with you? Tool Talk Radio.
Absolutely.
You can listen to any of our past shows. You can go to tooltalkradio.com, go to our Facebook page. Alan will link it up, and you can check it out. Well, Alan, hour one of Tool Talk Radio is in the can, but there's a lot more to come. We're out here at the Bartlett Animal Services for their rabies and vaccination extravaganza, broadcasting live, so come and say hello to us.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
And welcome to Hour 2 of Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Mobile Brown Refrigeration Command Center. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbert from darkoakmedia.com, and our buddy Max over there behind the glass are back at the studio, probably kicking back in a big lounge chair, Alan,
He's
enjoying
got his
the
feet up on our
solitude.
control desk is what he does.
Absolutely. But you can, even though we're on the road, we're here at the Bartlett Animal Show, or we're actually at Bartlett Animal Services for the big annual rabies and vaccination extravaganza. We hope you'll come and say hello, and we hope you'll bring your dogs and cats, Alan. Bring your
Yes.
pets. Can they microchip a snake? I mean, I don't know.
They can. These people won't.
Bring
you
it
gotta
out.
have that done with your veterinarian who does herpetology.
It's not a party till the boa constrictor shows up.
That's
but anyway, we're here, and we hope you'll show up here and take advantage of this great opportunity to get your pets taken care of. You know, all of the services, and it's super affordable. And you don't even have to live in Bartlett. You could live anywhere in the Mid-South. Nevertheless, you can still get in touch with us, and you can still interact like people have been doing all day. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And a big shout-out to Brandon. I think I had his name wrong. It's not Brandon. It was Brandon, I believe, that sent us the picture of the portable, it looked like a tiny house on wheels. That
Yes,
because we've
it
been
was
talking
awesome.
about modular homes. So keep that stuff coming in. But, Alan, before we get to that, it's time to let's talk about the woes and the failures of home improvement.
Trials and tribulations.
I've called you all here because I need some honest answers.
Yeah, they all kind of broke. So, when do I start?
There is a basket of oil-soaked rags above a wood-burning stove.
Are you out of your mind? You put a jet engine on a lawnmower?
This time, they are going to be held accountable. This time, they are the ones who will pay.
You know, Alan, I wonder if this person paid. They certainly should have paid something on this, so they didn't leave a name. I'm assuming it's a guy. I don't know why I'm making this assumption, but this is something you're gonna relate to. This may even trigger you, Alan.
Okay, I'm ready.
This is our homeowner confession line. Well, actually, we just say it's our Tool Talk Radio confession line because this could be anything. This could be maybe you're working on a job site, or maybe you're at a factory, or maybe you're working in your home and you failed. You did something wrong, and you can confess it here on the air. And you can do that any day of the week. You can send it to our Tool Talk Radio Facebook. No, don't do it that. Send it to the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline. Maybe text us or leave us a voice message.
There you go.
901-683-0989. Anyway, dear Tool Talk Radio, I was helping my friend enclose his back patio.
Okay.
I've done that, Alan.
Okay,
I
okay.
enclosed mine. We wanted to turn it. He was going to turn it into a sunroom. We had framed up the walls, and I was drilling in holes for the concrete anchors at the bottom of the stud plate. I know exactly what he's talking about.
Right.
Every time I fired up the drill, the wind from the motor, the drill from the motor vent kicked up dust into my face. So I put duct tape over the vents.
Oh,
Strike one. I had heavy work gloves on, so I didn't really notice how hot the drill was getting.
Yeah.
Everything worked great until it didn't, when the motor overheated and died.
Seized.
Oh boy, this is a fun one, Alan.
Yeah.
So we've been there. Sometimes you're working with the drill, and it depending on, I think it depends on the drill model or the way the wind is blowing or what you're working on. But once in a while, you're working maybe in confined quarters, and every time you're drilling, it's kicking sawdust into your face.
Right.
And I understand his motivation, or hers. I don't know. I understand the motivation. I understand the frustration, but you can't take it out on the drill.
No. No. This is where being steampunk kicks in.
Yeah.
Because you need a good pair of goggles. You
Well,
gotta have something.
goggles, but I'm sure they were breathing it in. But, Alan, we should talk about it because, you know, one thing that always impresses me, and I think this is true with automobiles or your air conditioner system or anything that needs to be air-cooled. It's amazing. You look at a little fan in the back of a radiator or something. You're like, how could this possibly make any difference until it breaks and the engine overheats and seizes up or something? But a drill, man, you got You've got moving parts. You've got a motor, and if you and those vents are there for a reason.
Oh yes, and the other thing is, they're basically built on a process called JIT, J-I-T,
Okay.
just in time. In other words, you're getting just enough air, just in time to keep this thing from melting down.
Right.
When we say it's air cooled, that's a little bit of a misnomer. It is air cooled to the point it doesn't melt at any given minute.
So this is air disaster prevention.
It is air disaster prevention, exactly. Yeah. So when you look at these tiny little vents, and a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's, there's 3 holes in this thing. What they can't possibly be cooling it. Those 3 holes are just enough air.
I don't know if
this
people
working.
are even thinking about that's what it's doing. They may not even realize why they're there.
Well,
it's
in the computer world, this happens all the time. Somebody sets something on top of those little bitty vents because there's just not that much. It's not hot. I put my hand on it. There's no heat coming out of there.
Yeah.
Well, there is.
Alan, we had a running gag. If you remember, about 5 years ago, I had a laptop computer that you guys always made fun of because the thing felt like you could cook an egg on top of it.
Yes.
And one of the things I think I did back before I knew much about computers is I'd be sitting like on the couch with the laptop, and I'd have it on top of a pillow.
Right.
So I could, apparently that cuts off the circulation.
Yes, it does. All right, Joe, when you take something that breathes and you cover its breathing apparatus with a pillow, that's called suffocation.
Yeah.
That's
like
that's how you kill people in horror movies. Yes.
But it's interesting because I do relate to this person's conundrum because especially when you're dealing with, who wants to be breathing in or having, mortar and dust and everything getting in your eyes? It's got to be miserable. But like you say, that's not the answer.
All right. One side effect of the pandemic is that now there are a lot of cheap faceplates available.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Slap
you can get a shield at,
Oh my gosh. I have used so many of those on job sites recently. One of the job sites I'm working on, we're putting in windows, and we have a window router, which is designed to give you that really pretty smooth edge all around the inside of that, instead of leaving it kind of jagged like the Sawzall leaves it. But when you fire this thing up, you and everybody within 10 feet of you is going to wear whatever it is you're trimming off.
Oh, yeah.
And oddly, a bunch of pandemic face masks have been the one item that kept it out of your face and out of your nose.
Absolutely. And I wonder, Al, have you ever fried anything? Like, okay, here's another thing. It's not just. I think this was a double whammy because this person, one of the things they were drilling into concrete.
Yes.
I'd have several questions. One of them would be, even if you. Okay, so if you're drilling into concrete, that puts a lot of stress.
Yes, it does.
And you better have about 5 or 6 concrete drill bits with you because even the good ones wear out. Especially if they start hitting rocks
really
and things
fast,
like that.
Yeah.
So I could picture this. I could picture the drill bit alone getting really hot. The heat is traveling up into the drill. They probably didn't. Maybe he didn't have a bucket of water because you should dip it in water to cool it off every couple minutes or.
Well, also depending upon the type of drill, you should have water going in that hole.
Right.
To keep from hyperheating your bits.
Yeah, and by the way, just don't dunk the whole drill into water.
Oh, no.
Just
no.
the drill bit.
Then you're calling us going, and then I electrified my partner.
Right.
And my drill is now dead.
But what are some other, I guess while we're doing a little PSA, what are some other tools that can overheat? Because I will say, like Alan, I've seen times where depending on what you're cutting, like with a circular saw or something, maybe you're working with really kind of wood that's sort of damp, and that has a tendency to pinch the blade, and every time that blade clenches and it stops, that really heats up the motor, right?
That torques the motor. Another one, of course, is your leaf blower.
Oh, I never thought of that.
And you're wearing loose clothing, and it keeps wrapping around the air intake.
Oh, yeah.
That is a great way to burn out a leaf blower.
Your flannel shirt gets sucked into into the intake.
And it just starts spitting out little pieces of cloth. It's terrible. So that'll go weed eaters. because it's something you use on a continual basis. Believe it or not, they actually have a little cooling function in there, so don't block that.
Right.
When you feel, wherever it is you feel air coming out of a tool, don't block it.
Yeah, exactly. Keep it cool, and if it comes down to it, Alan, I've had saws, like I've had a saw where I'm working and it keeps torquing, and I just let it sit. I go put it in the shade, and it will help. You have to let it cool off.
I think the worst one I ever saw was a jigsaw with the concrete blade on it trying to cut wonderboard.
Yeah.
And they used that saw blade a little too much. There was no teeth left on it. They were just honestly getting through the board by sheer attitude.
Yeah.
And that poor thing overheated so bad. Next thing you knew, you heard that little infamous snap, a little bit of a crackle, a little puff of smoke. And congratulations, Mr. Jigsaw is now going to go meet Mr. Dumpster.
Absolutely. I guess we're triggering people, Alan. Our buddy Brandon Olmstead from Geek Tank, he weighed in. He said, I'm shocked that the guy didn't catch fire. Keep it going for a while, and you might have. So,
all right, now let's go back to brushless versus brushed.
Yeah.
Because, when you and I were getting started, almost every tool out there was a brushed tool.
Yeah.
Which meant it had that spray of electrical wiring in it that spun. Mm-hmm. And if you look at one of these old drills,
it looks like
the metal
thing.
casing,
yeah.
It does. It looks like fireworks going off in there. You got a little stuff crackling and snapping and carrying on. And the real problem to that, when you began kicking up enough dust, no matter what it is, the dust is normally flammable.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Even if
I have to wonder how many fires that thing starts, especially if you start putting fumes in a warehouse or something like that. So, actually, Brandon,
working in grain silos, I actually remember a case in West Texas where an old boy's a brushed drill, working inside the silo. They were also moving grain, and the particulate started piling up, and it literally blew the sides off the silo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So everybody keep things cool. And Brandon weighed in. He was clarifying. He said he was surprised my computer didn't start on fire.
No, we are very surprised your computer did not flame out.
Anyway, keep things cool out there, folks. We don't want you to burn out your tools or anything like that. So, all right, who never burns out their tools or starts any electrical fires on the job site?
I hope not.
Cindy Williams was Shelf Genie of the Mid-South. She's going to love that.
Yeah, you're going to love that segue.
No, they keep a tight operation, and I can't see any situation where they could do that, Alan. That's not their game. Their situation, the reason you want to call Shelf Genie the Mid-South is if you have a kitchen, which all of us do, if you have kitchen cabinets or bathroom cabinets or maybe that hallway closet, anything that
I'm going to throw in pantries and children's toy closets.
I think children's toy closets are our next wave we need to focus on because, man, any place you need organization or if you've got space, we've all seen those hallway closets where it's piled with just stuff. And also, we see all of the empty space in those where there's maybe a half shelf, and then the rest is just there's nothing. Well, Shelf Genie of the Mid-South has a very holistic approach to your kitchen cabinets, to your bathroom cabinets, to your closets, and they take advantage of every square inch. And they come up with solutions that make it not only easy to organize, but easy to access. Some people, it's not so much about the organization, it's about the access. They need to be able to reach that pan in the bottom pantry, in the bottom the bottom cabinet. So they have great solutions for everything. So when they come out to your home, all of their designers, everybody there goes to Shelf Genie School. This is what they do. And they come out, it's a free consultation. They can size up the situation. They can work with you to come up with a custom solution, and then every piece is custom fit down to the millimeter, Alan. It's pretty impressive.
Awesome.
When the technician shows up, they show up and they're taking measurements down to the millimeter to make sure they're taking advantage of every square inch of those cabinets. And then when they come in, you've got greater access. And honestly, if you talk to a real estate agent, these things really up the value of your home, too.
True.
So they're great. They do great work. They
look good.
They look cool. It's a great culture, and they're just a great way to improve your lifestyle. So get in touch with Shelf Genie of the Mid-South. You can call them directly at 901-422 8225. And when you do, make sure you tell them you heard about it on Tool Talk Radio, or go to shelfgenie.com/Mid-South Memphis. All right, Alan, we're going to let Max have a little fun. We're going to let Max weigh in. He's got another one of his deep cuts.
And now, a deep cut with Maximilian.
He's having way too much fun with us.
All right. So, as Joe alluded to, it's called Idioms for Idiots.
Okay. Now, we don't want to insult the listeners, Max, or what are we?
I think he's talking about us.
So, okay.
Well,
all right.
Well, I feel that even if the audience members aren't idiots and everything, I just feel like it's a flowy article title and everything.
I like it. Yeah,
it's attention getting.
Good branding.
Good branding.
So,
all right.
So you love this stuff, Max.
I love studying the origins of languages, especially with my studies of Japanese. It's like, so I kind of catch myself, like, especially since after doing this research, it's like I catch myself saying an English idiom that's like, what the heck am I saying? Why? What does this even mean? Like, what's the origin of this? So I'm going to start off in ascending order of interest, and it's not necessarily things that are entirely home improvement related, but just interesting phrases in general, because if we're getting if we're talking tools and everything, language is one of the most important tools in your toolbox that you need to sharpen and understand. And so the first one I'd like to study is the term to fly off the handle, which everybody knows means to get angry. And then this is an American phrase, and it alludes to the uncontrolled way a loose axe handle flies off from its handle. It quite literally flew off the handle, and it was first found in print in Thomas C. Halliburton's The Attack, or Sam Slick in England, 1843 or 1844. And so he says he flies right off the handle for nothing. And so that's the origin of the term fly off the handle.
That's interesting, Max, because when you said that, I'm thinking of our buddy Brandon Olmsted. If you mention if you misquote like Star Trek, or if you don't have your geek information in order, he flies off the handle. He's very precise, with that stuff. But you think of the implications, Alan, of an axe flying off the handle. It's pretty deadly. You've got a lethal
personally
flying,
done
weapon.
it, yeah.
Okay, that's good, Max.
That sounds like a quote. That sounds like something from like the Three Stooges. It's like Moe, Larry, or Curly's like whoop, and then the axe handle thing. I mean, the little axe blade flies off the handle. It's like, what do you think you're doing there?
Well, in the Industrial Revolution, that was actually a very serious event.
Yeah. Awesome. What else you got, Max? That was a good one.
This is more of a hygiene thing. The throwing the baby out with the bathwater, which is getting rid of something valuable in the process of eliminating the unnecessary. So let's go back to the early 1500s, where families only bathed once a year, and they used the same water for every person in the family. And guess who got the first crack? It was the adult males, and then followed by the females. Yeah. And then the children would go last. And so by that time, the water would be so filthy from everyone having already bathed. And then so because the babies were last in the pecking order, they were the last in the tub, which was now very turdy. There was a risk of accidentally throwing the bathwater out with the baby still in it.
Yep. Now, how often, gosh, I hope that didn't really happen, Alan. But, I question the logic here, because to me, the first one to get washed should be the mother. I'm assuming she's probably cleaner than the dad, who's been working in the coal mines or whatever.
That's
like
the way it went, dude. It was the way it went. So
I'm just going on the record, Alan, and I want to say this to everybody, all of our listeners in the Mid-South. If we had to go back to a culture like that, I would bathe after everybody else. I would sacrifice my cleanliness for my family's well-being, and we wouldn't have any issues of babies getting
Which
thrown
is why
out.
I'm sitting upwind from you.
Yeah. That's good, Max. I like that. Keep going, man.
And then so we got one more before we got to head to break and everything. This is pretty good. This is more of a hospitality thing. The term white elephants. Yes. And then so this takes us to the land of Thailand, where white elephants were considered highly sacred in that country. And but what's funny is they were also wielded as a subtle form of punishment, and I shall certainly explain. According to legend, if an underling or rival angered a Siamese king, the royal might be presented with the unfortunate the royal might present the unfortunate man with the gift of a white elephant. While on the surface it was a nice reward, the creatures were tremendously expensive to feed and house, and caring for one often drove the recipient into financial ruin.
Yep.
So it's a real left-handed gift. Is
Oh,
that why?
yeah.
Because when we've heard the term white elephant sale, I didn't realize that. I always thought white elephant sale just meant you're getting a good deal on something.
No, it's
I guess you are.
It's a
No.
passive aggressive sort of it's a passive aggressive, very passive aggressive gift giving.
That's interesting. I like the notion of these left-handed types of gifts.
Well,
and everything.
I got a question about that. What about the term, when you hear somebody talk about the white elephant in the room? We have to address the white elephant in the room.
I don't think they say white elephant. They say elephant in the room.
Do they? I've heard it both ways. So I guess elephant meaning the big thing in the room.
The thing that you want to ignore, but it's like, how can you ignore it? It's
And
right there.
the whole thing about throwing axes, that's pretty big business now. You can go places and actually
yeah.
pay to throw axes.
Yeah.
Hopefully they
Actually
don't
do that
fly
now.
off their handles.
I hope so, man.
Very good, Max. We love it, man. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio here at News Talk 98.9 The Roar, Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Geek Tank Radio, Saturday at noon.
Seeing John Krasinski as Reed Richards made a lot of fans happy.
I love John Krasinski, but I just wasn't feeling it here. I was like, okay.
Again,
He's sitting there facing off against Scarlet Witch. I'm like, what is he going to do? The guy stretches, and she can blow you up with a thought. It's like, what good is this going to do?
this hey, Fight Boy can sit in the corner.
Geek Tank Radio, News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
I'm describing a person, not something complicated like a wooden sailing ship or proper dovetail technique.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
I mean, he's not wrong, Alan. You try making a dovetail joint. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the mobile brown refrigeration broadcasting van, I guess we're calling this.
Okay.
I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbert from darkoakmedia.com, and our pal Max back there at the studio, just kicking back, doing
his feet up,
eating donuts and drinking coffee and enjoying the solitude. You can still call us or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, we invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and give us a like and check out all the action over there, including the must-have item of the week. And that's the place where we also post all of our past shows, which you can hear 24 hours a day, any day of the year, man. It's a great opportunity to binge listen to Tool Talk Radio. Well, Alan, before we get back into talking tools, we got our buddy Jay, the dog catcher here.
Yes.
Nice title, Jay.
What's going on?
Way to go,
Thanks, man. We like to keep it simple around here. We don't like to get too fancy.
That's like, what's your job?
Yeah.
Dude, sit.
Jay, the dog catcher. What do you do? Oh, I sell hot dogs.
Yeah,
there you go. So, Jay, you're a buddy of Ditches, right?
I am, yeah. I've known Ditch for quite a while now.
So paint a picture here, because this is Alan and I's first time being out here. It's really cool. People are starting to show up with their dogs.
Yeah. No, it'll be really cool here in just a little while once it actually gets up and going. We've been doing this annually for quite a few years. Of course, we did have to shut it down for the past couple of years due to obvious reasons, same reason the whole world shut down for the past couple of years. But we're back this year, and we decided to do it a little bit differently this year than the past. As you can see, this year we've got all kinds of vendors and everything out here. We've got the Bartlett Police Department. We've got some demonstrations a little bit later on. The K9 Bartlett Police.
Oh,
K9
I didn't know
unit.
that.
Yeah, they're going to be out here out in the park doing some demonstrations. We've got a Wonder Dog, which Wonder Dog is a training company.
Mm-hmm.
They actually come to your house and they'll train your dogs.
We've
there.
seen them. They do great work, man.
Yeah.
If you got a temperamental animal, they're like the dog whisperer.
Yeah, they're the dog. They know how to deal with them, and they're going to be
work
out
on
here.
Brandon?
Yeah.
Just checking, man.
I don't know if
do
they can help people, but
okay.
But yeah, they're going to be out here answering questions. I think they're doing a couple of demonstrations as well.
Oh, awesome.
Bartlett Fire Department will be out here a little bit later on with their adopted firehouse dog, Sparky. So you get to come out and meet Sparky. We are doing half-price adoptions today as well. So if you come in here, if you don't have a dog and you're looking for a dog, or you want to find a dog for your a friend for your dog, then we're doing half-price adoptions on those.
We're sitting there looking at the prices too. I mean, it's like if you've got a pet this is like a no-brainer. Getting anywhere in the Mid-South, if you you can live anywhere and bring them over here. Right?
Yeah, we do rabies shots for like as low as $16.
As low as $16 for
awesome.
the rabies shots, which you're not going to find that. You know,
No. That's amazing.
And we do it just once a year. We just do it once a year because we don't want to take any business away from the local area vets.
Right.
Vet clinics.
But today is the day, man. It's really
the rain's gone.
Yes,
seems to be.
It's actually
it's
perfect
beautiful
weather.
Man,
knock on wood.
Yeah, that it brought that cool front in. So I mean, it's great. We've actually been pretty blessed in the past years. You know, even when there was rain, it would subside for a little while for us to do this. So we do have some kettle corn. I know we've got all kinds of vendors. I haven't even made it down there to check all of them out just yet. But yeah, man, it's if you have a dog, bring it on down. Cats also.
Right.
You can get it if it doesn't have a microchip. We can microchip it for $20. We even register it for you. You don't even have to register it yourself.
Oh, that's wonderful.
We register it. We take care of all the dirty work. All you got to do is just show up, bring your dog, cat. Yeah, man, and we'll be here from 10 to 2.
So are you the face of this event, Jay?
I hope not.
I don't know, man. You seem to be representing well. I saw you doing more interviews.
I've got a face for radio. There you
go. Well, we appreciate you coming on here, and I have to say, this is one of these times where if you have GPS, please use it. Because honestly, Jay, I started pulling up here, and I'm like, am I even in the right place? Well, but it's tucked away.
We're tucked away back here north side of Bartlett. Now, a lot of GPS will actually stop you literally right up the road and say you're here. You're not. If your GPS takes you on Shelter Run Lane and says you've reached your destination, just keep driving.
Keep coming.
You'll run right into us.
You'll see. It's really cool when you get here. It's real kind of cozy. There's like it's surrounded by trees. It's very peaceful back here, and there's a really impressive dog. It almost looks like a dog playground over there.
Yeah. Well, we've got our dog park, which is open to the public. Yeah, got a bunch of cool stuff back here, and it's available all the time.
Awesome. Well, Jay, we appreciate you coming on. So get down here. It's 5220 Shelter Run Lane. It's in Bartlett. I think if you Google it, you're going to find that. I didn't find any of the. You don't have to hunt for all the different Shelter Run streets.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of those around.
No.
Yeah, so check it out and get down here. It's a lot of fun. What time does it? What are the hours?
We officially kick off at 10 o'clock, and we'll wind it up around 2 o'clock.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, we hope you'll come down and take care of that. And if you do, drop by the News Talk 98.9 The Roar booth and say hello to all of us. We're going to be broadcasting live from here for most of the day. So
awesome.
Good talking to you, Jay.
Hey, thanks for having me, and I appreciate you guys showing up.
Hey, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.
Alan, it's a cool environment over here, man. I have to say, we're meeting a lot of interesting people, and some of the dogs, they're very well behaved so far. No dog fights yet.
You know, the one thing I have discovered hanging out, taking a few friends' puppies over to the dog park, the dogs get it. They really do. The dogs are like, I'm at the dog park. I'm here to run and play and chase somebody and get chased by somebody and just be chilled and groovy.
Yeah.
I have, oddly in the last going to the dog parks, I have never seen a dog problem.
It's funny.
They get
it.
The dogs get it.
Yeah. They're there to have fun. So
honestly, they get it. We just got passed by the world's largest lap dog.
Yeah,
that was a gargantuan Great Dane, and he is just as happy and friendly as he can be.
Yep.
And I've seen shepherds, things I couldn't identify with really big ears, and somebody over there has a little mop on a leash that is just having a blast.
And folks, we've got a betting pool going here, and if you can predict how many dogs Brandon Olmsted is going to adopt by the end of the show, by the end of the day, you might win something. I don't know what, but
I hope
Brandon's going to go nuts here. He's like a big dog lover.
Yeah,
so.
I hope the canine unit keeps their dog away from him, because if he gets hold of it, it's going to be totally ruined.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a lap dog when he gets done with him.
Well, Alan, hey, in a minute we've got another science segment, 2 science segments in one
day.
segment.
Wow.
It's going to be about cutting technology. But before we get to that, tell us about the science of online entertainment. How's that for a weird segue?
Not bad. The biggest hit at darkoakmedia.com this week, I get to be slightly embarrassed and say it was me.
Okay.
Food...
You're really embarrassed.
Yeah.
Give me a break. Okay. We know.
And of course, you're going to love this because it was the Food Dude.
Okay.
The Food Dude at thecookingtodayshow.com. I appear every Thursday morning at 8 o'clock and feed the morning news crew. and we talk about food and have a little fun. Well, it has gone full podcast.
Yeah, you may as well. You guys have good material. I listened to Memphis Morning News with Ditch and Jeff Brightwell, and that's a pretty good gig. They get fed and not just them. You bring money, food for the the staff. I know you're good to bribing Morgan Bohannon, keeping the boss happy, right? So.
If you're going to bribe the right ones.
Yeah.
So that's been a big exciting thing. So people can pop over to darkoakmedia.com. They can check out all of our past shows. Check out the TV shows we're involved in. We have a new season of It Came from the International Market starting in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
So we're very excited about that.
Okay, awesome. So darkoakmedia.com, I suppose, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and while we're doing our shameless plugs, let me just say really quickly, and I'm going to say it slowly because I've been told my Chicago speed talking.
Your Chicago enthusiasm
has made it hard for people to know what my business name is. But if you need a deck or a pergola or a patio cover or a screened-in porch or really anything made out of wood for the outside of your home, give me a call at 901-921-7105 or go to my website thorshomes.com. And of course the name of my business is Thor's Hammer Carpentry and Wood Turning, and I'm almost ready to. The wood turning is something I really enjoy, Alan, but I'm almost like it's too many words. Like
it is. It is.
I might drop that from my business title.
You do that for fun.
Although I have to say, Alan, Thor's Hammer Carpentry sort of stops short. It might need to be carpentry and something. I don't know. Whatever. But get in touch with me, and you can give me advice on what I should change my business.
Yes. Joe needs marketing advice.
All right, Alan, let's dive back. We've got a second science story coming up.
Hail science!
I don't know if it's a story. Is this a story, or is this just more a discussion?
Well, it is going to be a shocking realization.
I like those.
It's an excuse to play the science music again.
Yeah, Max just loves hitting those buttons.
He does.
So,
Wow. Okay, so here we go. You and I are going to look at a project. We're going to lay down a board. We're going to draw our line, and we're going to cut it.
Yeah.
No, we're not. We did not cut that board.
Okay.
We didn't.
I'm listening.
What we actually did was remove material the width of the cutting instrument. This is shocking news.
Wait a minute. It sounds like you're splitting hairs here.
Nope. I am giving every new carpenter, every new person getting ready to start a project for the first time, I am helping you out. I am telling you a terrible truth that nobody ever told you. You can't cut anything.
Okay.
What you can do is separate it by removing material. Cutting
is
the way people think of it implies that it is exactly the same size on both sides. It's not.
Alan, I've got my finger over the foul button that I'm about to push because you said this is a science story. This sounds like where it's basically describing something that's more or less minutia.
Well, no, because we're going to get into lasers and CNC machines and everything here in just a moment.
Okay, good.
But we have to understand one thing. So you're going to take a piece of wood. You're going to say, I need a 12-inch piece of wood. You're going to draw a line on it, and you're going to cut it.
Okay.
Now, depending upon where you put that saw blade is to whether or not you got a 12-inch board.
Okay, so in other words, which I already know, I don't want to beat this into the ground, but basically, if you have scissors and you cut a piece of paper, you are cutting it.
You are getting two equal pieces, yes.
But with wood, generally the blade is about 1/8 of an inch thick, so
exactly.
You're going to lose. So if you have a board that is exactly 12 feet long and you cut it, it is now going to be one piece might be 6 foot and one piece might be 5 foot,
1/8 of an inch
15,
less.
16. So.
Right. Now this becomes critical, especially in smaller projects.
Okay.
Tighter areas. You're building models. You're doing very precise work.
You're building a foldable home like Elon Musk.
Oh, you know exactly where I'm going with this. When you start, like our little pop-up tent in front of us, it's such a simple idea, but if you think about the engineering and the mathematics that has to be virtually perfect to make that work, that gets us into, well, a little bit of our must-have item of the week, and it also gets us into cutting standards and modern standards because we're also into 3D printing.
Yeah.
And a CNC machine.
Tell people what because we know what a CNC machine is. But
do you know what CNC stands for?
Actually, I don't. I thought it has the word computer in it.
It's computer numerical control.
Oh, so it's, you know what, Alan? I hate to admit this. I've been calling it the word and, C, but it's CNC.
CNC, computer numerical control.
And folks, if you don't know what that is, imagine like a cutting. It's almost like a sharp drill with a flat surface, and it you can change it, and you basically put a board or you put an item on there, and the machine. I hate to say it, the AI, the robot, cuts it out. You type it. Usually you have your laptop attached to it, and you type in the design, which it's super handy for, like, if you want to engrave words or pictures or like precise cuts and let it cut while you're going and doing something else.
Exactly. The finished product is exactly the numerical size you told it.
Right.
The waste takes place outside of it automatically.
And there's usually less waste, too, because it uses every square inch of the board.
CNC machines can print signs, cut out letters, cut out wood, cut out stone. Anybody that likes watching the Discovery Channel and you got the guys building motorcycles or cars, you know that CNC machines can cut metal, chrome, basically anything we can program and design. We now have a machine that can produce exactly what we told it to.
Alan, can I make a prediction here?
Absolutely.
Because I like to try to, I hate when you and I are thinking the same way, but whatever. Alan, my prediction is what you're going to say. In the old days, a CNC machine was a giant, massive thing. You could cut out boards or cut out pieces of metal, 50 feet across or something, and they were expensive, and it was only for business. But these days, it's not unheard of that you could own your own CNC machine or your own 3D printer. Is that the revolution we're heading towards? Is that what you're talking about?
We're really getting into, and this is one of these things where you have to understand where you started. So Alan got a handsaw and said, I need a 12-inch board. So you had to know how to cut to get that 12-inch board.
Right.
But now you have sitting in your garage, you have a high-powered laser capable of etching stone.
Yeah.
And it does it exactly to the numerical values you give it.
Yeah.
So this type of precision, this type of science, engineering, the collision of materials, science, timing. We talked about scissors last week.
Mm-hmm.
CNC machines weren't possible 50 years ago. We didn't have the metal to cut.
Oh, good point.
We didn't have the lasers
really durable
to cut.
blade. Yeah.
We didn't have the measuring capability to be this accurate.
Right. Yeah.
Now, you honestly can have sitting in your garage, of all things, a 3D printer, a laser engraver, and a CNC cutout.
Well, and Alan, I see another revolution coming, and it's going to be along the lines of, okay, well, I'm not going to use a certain big box name store, but there's stores where you can go and you can purchase thousands of different types of furniture that you assemble yourself at home. You know what I mean? Well, Mike, the day may come where and it probably is already here, where instead of that, you download the plans to that. They tell you exactly how many sheets of plywood you need or whatever. You stick it in the CNC, and then you go eat lunch, and it cuts out all of the components of your new coffee table or your new whatever, or your bookshelves, and you assemble it. And
how about this? How about 3D printed, engineered, and assembled rocket engines?
Well, that's what they're going to need if they go to Mars.
This is today.
If they go to outer space, they need to be able to have a portable shop, basically. So,
This equipment is now being built and put into practice today.
Yep.
So the science of cutting has gone from, well, just how do I separate this board into two pieces, to how do I get to something so amazingly precise.
Right.
And we're getting to the point now to where the ability to cut and design at home is to within, and I don't mean the 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch or even a millimeter. We're getting down to the point where it is going to be almost unmeasurable how close to the actual size you wanted.
Yeah, because I have to imagine, even if you get down to a microscopic level, if you cut a piece of paper in half with scissors, there's still some loss. I would have to imagine,
and some curling and some peel away,
something
right?
Whatever. So
the science of cutting has advanced to the point, but I'm going to back all the way track to the beginning and go, okay, so you're one of my newbies, and we're going to go to the big box store this afternoon, and I'm going to buy you a circle saw. One of the pieces of advice I'm going to give you is that everybody cuts differently. Some people cut right down the center of the line. Some people cut to the right of it. Some people cut to the left of it. And on some jobs that I do that are counters that have to be precise,
Right.
you can't cut that piece of marble an eighth of an inch too short.
No.
Because that stone blade is a little bigger than an eighth of an inch.
Right.
And you actually have to allocate for the width of the stone blade to make sure you get that counter exactly the width that's going to slide in and give you that beautiful tight fit that you want in your kitchen.
Yeah, I guess the basically the cutting technology is just so much easier to gauge. It's so much easier to you have more options, and you can get that precision because sometimes I know when I started like framing houses and stuff or working with carpentry, we used to always talk about tolerances. Okay,
Right.
this wall that you're framing up can be the tolerances within an eighth of an inch, or even I've had
Exactly.
times where it's where it means, folks, if that 2x4 over there is an eighth of an inch bigger than the other one, it's not really the end of the world. Well, now we're getting down to tolerances of like 1/100 of an inch. Or,
We're going to fold an entire 2,000 square foot house
Right.
out. We don't have tolerances of 1/4 of an inch.
Yeah, you got to keep the draft out. You got to keep things locking in place. So, yeah.
So,
exactly.
just watching the pop-up tent earlier, it just struck me just how amazingly precise we are really getting today.
It is cool, man, and it's all part of the measuring technology. It's part of the precision of blades, and like you said, Alan, one thing we shouldn't undersell is how much better the quality of cutting blades are. Because if you have those alloys and these really strong metals and diamond tips and all this other titanium stuff,
I've got a key cutting machine at the office.
Yeah,
and that's an amazing blade. We're dialing through metal in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful.
It's cool. I mean, we're always excited about the latest technology. My conspiracy mind goes, okay, well, how many people are going to be put out of work for this because now we don't need it? But usually it balances out. Honestly,
Yep.
the more you make things convenient for people to do the work, I just feel like I mean, let's face it, Alan. We've been having this argument for the last 200 years, and we live more comfortably than people have ever lived throughout history. For the most part, we're getting along and we're doing things. We're making things happen, and so I just don't see the doom and gloom scenario.
Not in this particular case. Here we have such amazing abilities, but it all goes back to that basic fundamental knowledge that I need to get this a certain length and a certain size so it fits in so that I can finish my project.
Absolutely. So, I guess I'd call that sciencey, Alan. I'll give you that one. So, but it's interesting, and it always is interesting to follow these. Just follow the latest technology, which we'll continue to do here on Tool Talk Radio. But Alan, we don't want to run out of time before we get to our must-have item of the week.
There it is.
Wrong one, Max. See, when we're not there to supervise them, so I don't know. I'm going to just move along. Is that the music? Okay. Max, you go ahead. There we go. Jeez.
I'm a bit too relaxed today.
Yeah, put the coffee down and let's get to it. All right, Alan. This is I posted on our Facebook page several of these on the website. But tell people what I'm holding up, and you and I have a different name for these.
Well, you like to call it an L bracket. I call it just angle iron.
Yeah.
Even though they're made out of zinc.
I mean, technically they are both an angle, but basically I think everybody's seen an L bracket. They come in all shapes and sizes. This one here is equal. I want to say it's a 1 inch by 1 inch. Actually, it looks about 1 1/4 inches, Alan. But it's a L bracket, and these things are always good to keep. Just keep a packet of them, because I'll tell you, you never know. Especially, I'm thinking like in kitchen cabinets or somewhere where you just need that extra strength, and maybe you don't have you don't have a lot of space to deal with. You're trying to reinforce something and strengthen it up. And L brackets are just they're great, man. So. That's basically it. That's our must-have item of the
Well,
week.
they also come as flat straps and we just talked about precision cutting. They're absolutely, if it's a 90-degree angle, that is an absolute 90-degree angle.
All right. Well, gosh, there's the clock. Alan, we got to go, man. Hey, real quick, we're at the Bartlett Animal Services right now at the Rabies and Vaccination Extravaganza. Come and visit us. But it's time to get out of here. So on behalf of my buddy Alan Gilbreth and our pal Max behind the glass, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening to Tool Talk Radio, and we'll see you next week.